Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 3 of the 145-year-old violin neck reset project. Okay, so in the first episode you saw me introduced the violin itself, and said that, you know, when I'd taken the strings and everything off, the neck all but fell out in my hands. And I then subsequently cleaned up all the glue from the neck heel and the neck pocket in the violin body, and then I proceeded to glue the neck back in and clamp it with these rubber bands and a single clamp on the neck itself to the heel at the back. And I'd left it for several hours, and I've now removed the clamps, and here it is with the neck glued in, and it looks really good. The alignment is fine side to side, and the neck angle seems to be just about perfect, and the joint itself looks really good. I'm really happy with that. So that seems to have, you know, got that neck secured back in there, and very little, if any, trauma to the instrument, the neck or the body. Now I did say that I was going to attempt to, you know, touch up some of these marks on the body. Well, I've been giving it some thought, and as I've said, because this is a very old instrument, don't think I am going to do that. In fact, I'm not going to do it. You know, it's a 145-year-old instrument, well, apparently, and it looks it. You know, the tuners are all patinaed, and the whole thing is, you know, it's a used instrument. It's a very old instrument that's clearly been played a lot, and I think by trying to, you know, by trying to cover up all these marks, I think it will just make it look worse, in my opinion, and I think it's going to devalue it. So I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. I'm not going to do any touch up at all. But what I am going to do, like I said, is polish it. So this, you may remember in episode 2, I was making up this wax polish, which is all set now and greasy. So I'm going to give the whole thing a polish all over before I, you know, put the strings on and put it all back together. So I'm going to start in an inconspicuous area. So I'm going to do this bottom portion here, just to make sure that, you know, it looks okay before I go ahead and do the whole thing. So let me just get the camera in a position where you can see what I'm doing. Now this is going to be awkward for me because it's the wrong way round, because I'll be basically doing it right-handed. So for me this is a little bit awkward, but I want you to see what I'm doing. So I've got some of this soft paper towel, so I'm going to apply it with this and then use another clean sheet of it to take the excess off, and then I've got this soft cotton cloth which I will use to finally buff it. But like I said, I'm going to start with this little area at the bottom first. So I'm not sure how well you can see, but I'm going to give you a before. It's, I mean, you know, it's just a bit dull. So hopefully this using this wax will brighten it up a little bit without, you know, changing its appearance in any way. So I just smear a little bit on the cloth. It's actually set quite hard, that. It's interesting. Okay, so just want a little smear of it on the cloth, and then I'll just work that into the wood there. Just work it in sort of circular motions. You know, obviously there's a lot of bare wood on this, and this stuff, this wax polish is, you know, really good for that. It will protect the wood for many years to come, make it look nice. Right, so think that's worked in pretty well. So I'll just use the same bit of cloth, but a clean part of it, just to wipe off the excess. And my cotton cloth to give it a final buff. Yeah, that looks nice. I mean, it's not shiny, and that's not the effect we're going for. It's slightly more shiny, but yeah, it definitely looks better. And you know, it hasn't changed the appearance of the wood at all. So I'm going to do the whole thing with this. So I'm going to go all the way around the sides first, because they're awkward. Right, so, but I'm going to do sort of small sections at a time. I'll probably do like from here down to about here, and then do the bottom half, and then the same the other side. And then the back and the top. But I'm also going to be doing the neck and the headstock as well. Right, so let's just work that in there. That's nice. It's actually taken a little bit of the grime off as well. I mean, I did give the whole thing a wipe with mildly soapy water before starting the job anyway. That's rather nice. So I'm just going to go over it with this cloth first, all over, and then the final buff with the cotton cloth afterwards. Yeah, that looks good. I'm happy with that. Okay. Right, so down to the bottom part. I really like using this stuff. Beeswax and boiled linseed oil. Really good for wood. Excellent for wood. Alright, let's take that off. Yeah, I mean, just like with any wax polish, you don't want to leave it on too long. Any of you who, you know, detail cars or anything like that will know what I'm talking about. Wax polish is really good, but you don't want to leave it on too long because it's much harder to remove. Although this, because, you know, beeswax is a natural product, it's not as bad as some of those other wax polishes for that. But the same principles apply. You wipe it on and really work it in, then you immediately wipe it off, which seems counterintuitive, but you know, when you, especially with porous materials like wood, even though this is, you know, finished in whatever it is, there is a lot of bare wood, and it seeps in pretty quick. Right, so this middle portion, just do this bit on its own for now. Good. That's looking really nice, actually. You know, you don't want it to be shiny like a mirror, it just wouldn't look right. You just want it clean with a sheen, but not, you know, bright shine or anything like that. And this is looking really nice already. You only need a very small amount of this paste as well, just a tiny amount. And like I said, I'm going to do the whole thing with this, the body, the neck, the headstock, the tuners, the fingerboard, everything. Everything except the bridge, actually. You don't want the bridge to be slick and slippery. That is looking really nice. I know you can't really see it on camera, but trust me, that looks very nice. Very happy with that. Actually, that looks really good. So the back, as you can probably see, is a little bit dull, and you know, there's a lot of sort of finger marks and everything on it. So we'll see how that looks after. Again, I'm just going to do it in two parts. I'll do the bottom bout and then the top bout. Being careful not to dislodge that neck that I just glued in. That wouldn't be good. So you really, really want to work it in. Put some pressure on it and, you know, get that properly worked in to the wood and the finish. And like I said, I'll go over the whole thing and buff it afterwards. But I think you can probably see the difference from the top bout to the bottom bout there. Looks a lot better. A little bit more. Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I was thinking about doing some touch up on this, but every little mark on here probably tells a story. So I think it was definitely a wise decision to go against that decision and not, you know, do any touch up anywhere. Leave it exactly as it is, just give it a good polish. Wow, that looks really good. For a violin that's almost 3 times as old as me. I wish I looked this good. A little bit more on the right at the bottom there. Good, that is coming up really nice. Wow. Yeah, I mean it still needs buffing, but looks a whole lot better. So now the top, I'm going to do the neck and everything last because that's what I'm holding on to do this. Right, so that's the top before. And again, I'll do it in small sections. I've got to be careful here not to put too much pressure on here because it's very easy to break the top of a violin. They're very thin. And obviously they're very weak around these F-holes, so I've got to be careful. That's coming up really nice. Might need to do that again. It's quite rough on the top. Wow, looks great. I don't know if you can see the difference from the top bout to the bottom. I am going to do that again. I said it is pretty rough at on the top. Obviously you see most of the action with people's hands, etc. That's good. It's good. Really nice. Okay, and the top bout now. Right. Again, I'll probably do this twice. Way too much on there actually. Right, I'm going to do it again, but not put any more paste on that cloth because there's already plenty on there. And that was getting a bit hard to take it off because I put a little bit too much on, getting carried away. But yeah, it's definitely looking a lot nicer. And, you know, like I said, it will protect the wood for many, many years to come. It's going to look amazing for a long time. I mean, it's lasted this long, so it's all good. Right, so I'm going to do the fingerboard now. Just going to use a light amount, not too much, because you don't want it too slippery. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, and the back of the neck. And again, not too much on here, because obviously your hands are on here all the time, and I don't want it too greasy. But I will buff it all off anyway once I finish this, and it will be amazing. Right, so headstock now. It's a bit awkward, but so again, I'm not going to use too much, but I'm going to do the tuners as well, so it all looks nice. And in fact, doing this on the tuners means I won't have to lubricate them, because this will do that. So, 2 birds and 1 stone and all that. And I'm not going to try and go inside the peg box. Just be a bit too awkward. But I'll do these side curly bits. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward getting in those, but not too bad. I want to make sure I get right into all of it, so it doesn't look odd. That's good. Right, on the other side. Plenty of time, plenty of time. Okay, and the tuners. Try not to get any on the buttons actually, because they're plastic. They just don't need it, to be honest. Right, so let me put the lid on that. I'm finished with that now. And I'll wipe the excess off that neck and the headstock. And then, as I said, give it the whole thing a good buff. And it should look absolutely amazing. Wow, it does look great. I'm really happy with that. Very happy with that. It looks so nice. Right, so let's try and get the worst of it off my hands as well before buffing it. And I'm actually going to buff the top first, because that needs to look the best. So before the cloth gets too impregnated with it. Yeah, looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. That's really good, really good. Okay, I'll do the back now. It's good to hold it, awkward to hold it. Yeah, that looks really good. Definitely worth doing. Spend a bit of time just to basically finish it. Sides now. Let's make sure I definitely give it all a good buffing. Right, okay, fretboard, or fingerboard. There's no frets on a violin. And the neck. headstock. Right, so I will give it another buffing, but that's it pretty much done. And it looks really good. Very happy with that. So what I'll do is I'll leave that to dry a bit. I'll go and wash my hands, and then I'll give it another buffing. I might even need, in fact I will, I'll use another brand new cloth and give it a final buffing, but that's done. So I am going to leave it a little bit longer just to make sure the glue in the neck is, you know, properly hardened before I put it together and put any stress on it. So I'm going to leave that a bit longer. That will be part 4. What I will do prior to filming part 4, I will actually put all the strings on with the tail piece, and then I'll start filming, you know, to do the rest of it, because putting the strings on a violin, it's very time consuming, fiddly, awkward, annoying. So I'm not going to film that. I'm going to put the strings on with the tailpiece, and then I will, you know, start the recording for fitting the bridge and all the other bits and pieces, getting it tuned up. Now, regular viewers of mine will know I cannot play the violin, and even if I could, this is a righty and I'm a lefty. But you know, I'll try and get it to make some sort of violin type sounds and see how we're looking. But it's more or less finished. Like I said, it's just a matter of putting it back together now and tuning it up. And that takes ages on a violin. Okay, so that will be coming in part 4, which will be the final part of this little project. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other. We will see you soon. Peace out.